Hey, Rich Lucas, Fat Loss Renegade Project. Thank you very much for downloading a presentation on intermittent fasting uncovered. I run a online 28-day fat loss program called the Fat Loss Renegade Project. You can see it right now on fatlossrenegadeproject.com. And most of you have already done that, so I wanted to put this presentation together because intermittent fasting seems to be quite a hot topic at the moment. It is very good. I use it loads with my clients. I use it a lot on the project too. There are some negatives, and I figured this would be a good way to get it across to you. So, what's it all about? So, intermittent fasting is gaining popularity in mainstream media. Us personal trainers have known it for quite some time, but it takes a while to filter out into the mainstream. Now, the one that's really getting the headlines at the minute is the 5-2 fast diet, where you fast for 2 days and you eat for 5 days. It's been featured in the Daily Mail, the Guardian, the Sun. Everyone's getting on the bandwagon, and I'm getting lots of questions about it too. Now, that's not just intermittent fasting. There's loads of different protocols. I'm going to cover three main ones in this one. There are pros and cons to intermittent fasting, and personally, I wouldn't have a client online or offline do intermittent fasting without being aware of these facts before beginning. So it's just to give you more. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, you should do it. It's just giving you, I'm arming you with the facts. Do with them as you will. So, here are the positives. The positives, intermittent fasting is one of the most effective fat loss methods out there when done correctly. Things like intermittent fasting, carbohydrate cycling, calorie cycling, detoxification, they're all really good methods that when you put them into play on a dietary program, you get amazing results. Part of the reason why I'm not a fan of sort of Weight Watchers Slimming World and the other calorie cutting methods is it only addresses a very small part of the problem. When you do intermittent fasting, it gives your digestive system a rest and time to reset itself. So if you're eating all the time, your body is constantly digesting food. Okay, when you stop eating for a short period of time, your digestive system has time to digest whatever food that it hasn't already digested, and it gives it time to reset and get ready for the next one, which is later on. Many report, including myself, I get loads more energy when I'm fasting. Reason for this is it's taking all the blood that the digestive system is taking to digest food. It's not taking that at that point in time, so you actually feel like you've got more energy, which is weird because you think if you don't eat, you would have no energy. But what you find is, say you have breakfast, sometimes mid-morning you want a snacky thing, you want like a flapjack or a yogurt or something like that. That's a sign that your hormones are a bit out of whack. Okay, if you get that heady rush right then. When you do intermittent fasting correctly, you don't get that at all. You actually have more energy. You can work out harder. I can lift heavier, for example, when I'm fasting. It can regulate fat burning hormones such as leptin and insulin. Leptin is the fat burning hormone, which is located in your white blood cells, and it tells your brain if you're full or not. Obviously, if you're going to go for 16 to 24 hours without eating, this all gets reset, and you actually listen more to physiological hunger rather than psychological hunger. It also makes you a little bit more resistant to stuff like insulin, so that's the fat storage hormone. And you handle the secretion of insulin a little bit better too. Another thing, the final thing, the body is more likely to use fat as a fuel in the absence of carbohydrates. If you haven't eaten carbohydrates for a while, your body hasn't got anything to draw on in the way of carbohydrates, so it will go into the stored fat, which is a great thing if you're on a fat loss program. So they're the positives, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this bad. I use it loads, but I do need to make you aware of the negatives. Okay, it can do more harm than good if your hormones are out of whack or you have a lot of weight to lose. Okay, so if you've gone for years without eating breakfast, your best bet I would say is to start eating breakfast, so you get the insulin glucagon release timer on full flow to start with, and then start to work into intermittent fasting. Okay, it's also if you have a lot of weight to lose. I think if you have a lot of weight to lose, your best bet is to do your calorie control, move a little bit more, and you'll start to get great results anyway. And it's only when you got that last stone or so to lose, stone and a half, maybe 2 stone to lose, that you want to start looking at things like intermittent fasting. Another thing is if you have a history of an eating disorder, care should be taken. Okay, not only could your hormones be a little bit shaken, but also from a psychological point of view, it puts more of a control on how you eat, and that can spark off an eating disorder. Disordered eating. If you do have disordered eating, speak to a health professional before you undertake intermittent fasting, because it can make things worse. In women, intermittent fasting over a long period of time should be periodized. So maybe do it for a month, come off it for a month. maybe 6 weeks, okay, because it can affect your menstrual cycle and it can cause infertility in some cases. You don't want to mess with that, so periodize it, whereas you do it for a while, then you stop doing it, eat normally, and then you can do it. But I would say in women, don't do it for a long period of time, because it can mess up those regulations. And then finally, way too much intermittent fasting can cause cardiovascular and respiratory problems. I think Mama Cass in the 60s died. I think she fasted 4 days a week, and I think she died of cardiovascular failure. So these are just things that you need to be aware of. And it's not something, I'm not overly happy that it's in the mainstream media, to be honest. Not because I'm going to lose business or anything like that. I think this sort of thing needs to be tracked by a qualified professional. And people shouldn't just be allowed to do it off their own back, because there are considerations that you need to take in place. Okay, so let's go into a couple of the different methods. Like I say, there are loads. The ones I haven't covered in this is a vegetable fast. We just eat vegetables, and a juicing fast, because to be honest, I don't really see how you're getting the right nutrients. And I think that's just calorie cutting, and you'll just put the weight on afterwards. So I'm going to cover the ones I think actually work in this one. The 5-2 diet, even though it's touted as a fast diet, I don't actually class it as a fasting diet. It's more of a calorie cycling diet, which is fine. Calorie cycling works great. What it involves is you eat 600 calories for 2 days of the week, and you eat normal for 5 days of the week, okay? Now, it seems to work, and I know calorie cycling from experience works. As a personal trainer, it works great. Lots of people are up for it. Lots of people think it's great. What I would say, though, is read the book first. It comes in a book. I think it's called The Fast Diet or The 5-2 Diet or something like that. I've read it. And you understand it correctly, okay? Because when people explain to me, they say, "Oh, Rich, have you heard of this new diet? You can eat what you don't eat anything for 2 days, but then you can eat what you want the rest of the time." And that's not true. Or you have 600 calories on these days, but then the rest of the time you can eat high fat foods. Read it correctly and know what it says from the book, not from your friends or from a magazine, okay? And learn this stuff before you do it, okay? So the 5-2 diet, it does work. I'm not a fan of the fact that it's out there in the mainstream media. I'm not a fan that it can be misconstrued, but that's the 5-2 diet, okay? Lots of people are into it at the minute. I mean, give it a try, see if it works for you. Okay, the other one, lean gains or the 8-16 method. This is one of my preferred methods anyway. I think it's a really good method, and it's easy to stick to too. It's really simple. Basically, you eat for 8 hours, you fast for 16 hours, what we call on the project the feeding window. There's other diets that say eat for 4 hours, eat for 5 hours and all that, but for me, 16 hours, knowing it from a glucogen release principle, I think that's a good time to be getting that out of the system. So what you do is you pick a window, so it could be between 9 and 5, 12 till 8, 10 till 6, what have you, and you consume all your calories within that 8-hour window, okay? Now make sure you do eat your calories in that window, otherwise you're going to get hungry when you're fasting, and that's not the purpose at all. And you need to keep your feeding window the same time each day, otherwise it defeats its own purpose. So if you did 12 till 8 one day, and then the next day you did 9 to 5, you've only fasted for sort of 10-12 hours rather than the recommended 16. Okay, so the feeding window needs to be the same time every day, and on that feeding window you do have to eat your calories. If you don't eat your calories, it's going to mess up you're going to just feel hungry. Also, if you're eating single ingredient food, to be honest, I don't think you should be getting hungry anyway, so you may not have to worry about calories too much. Okay, the 24-hour fast, really simple one day a week, eat nothing. On that one day a week, you drink plenty of water, you drink green tea, you have a greens detox drinks if you want. You can have black organic ground coffee. That's also a viable option. I've also said people to eat sugar-free gum or chew that. I don't advocate that because it's got aspartame in it, and so that's not great. You only do this once a week unless you're under direct supervision by a qualified professional. I think if you start doing it 2 days a week, it starts to cause problems, and your body goes catabolic. You start to burn muscle rather than fat, so that kind of defeats its own purpose, because then you become a less efficient fat burner. Okay, so they're the three main ones. Okay, the 5-2 diet, the 8-16, and the 24-hour fast. There are different ones, but in my opinion, they're the three that works. So my top tips are: if you're a woman, if you have a history of an eating disorder, if you have a history of cardiovascular or respiratory illnesses, definitely seek guidance before undertaking intermittent fasting. Okay, it's a tool. But I think it's a tool to get that last bit off and blast through plateaus. Okay, if you've got a lot to lose, control your calories, move more, and you'll get great results. Okay, it's not a quick fix, if that makes sense. It can do more damage than good if you start it and you're not in a good place hormonally. Again, it's a very, very good tool. It's only one of the tools. The main thing you should be doing is eating healthily to start with. A healthy body doesn't hold fat. Okay. The intermittent fasting, same thing as calorie cycling, carbohydrate cycling, all that. It's the last piece of the puzzle rather than the total solution. So I hope that makes sense. Now, I'm going to give you a special offer with regards to intermittent fasting. As I mentioned at the start, I run the Fat Loss Renegade Project, the 28-day fat loss program. We've helped over 100 people now lose between 9 and 18 pounds in 1 month, or 28 days, and 12 inches from all over the body. I think the best one was I think it was 4 inches off the waist. People are losing 2 inches in 2 weeks in some cases off the waist and the hips. So it definitely works, and it also combines exercise as well as diet. You get exercise videos in there and what to do each day. It's ideal for mums, busy people who don't want to go to gyms or slimming clubs. All the exercises can be done at home, and all the diet can be run at home too. It uses a combined intermittent fasting methods, and the beauty of this is you get supervision from the Facebook group. I'm not actually running groups anymore, but I'm going to allow people into the group, and if they want to put a question up there, they can put a question up there. Now, it has gone previously for £67 when I was doing the actual groups, because I had to put my time into the groups, but now I'm just going to be running it whenever, and it's £27 for permanent access to the diet and to the groups. So what you can do is you can get it on the button below. There should be a button below. If you click it, it's going to take you through to a page where you can read up all about it, what it does, the results it's got, a quick video of the inside, some frequently asked questions, and a button that you can purchase it on. So I hope you've enjoyed this presentation, and I hope to see you on the inside of the Fat Loss Renegade project. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great day.